Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to a very special event today. Yours truly, Eric Kavanaugh, is here for a launch event at the premiere of Promethist in Power, the missing AI layer, relational intelligence at scale. Folks, we have a lot of content to get through today. I'm very excited about this show. I just want to throw out some early thoughts to frame the conversation a bit. And of course, as you know, I like to quote famous thought leaders over the years. And one of my favorite quotes of all time has to be from our good buddy Victor Hugo, who once wrote, "No army in the world can fight an idea whose time has come." Think about the internet and how the internet changed how we react, how we buy things, how we share information, social media, how much that changed. Well, we know about digital transformation, folks. We are at the cusp of AI transformation. It's here, it's happening. No one's going to stop it. So we need to make sure we harness it as best we can. And it's out there already. So that's my other famous quote from William Gibson, who once said, "The future is here already. It's just not very evenly distributed." So there are pockets of tremendous innovation out there. And I can tell you the companies that embrace this transformation are going to excel. The companies that push back are going to have a bit of a hard time. But the good news is most of you are already engaged in this world. Most of you are already using frontier models like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini. It's already happening, and you've seen how they learn from you. It's really interesting. They remind you of things you've done in the past. When you ask ChatGPT to write something, it says, "Oh, like you wrote the other day." So there's this intelligence that's being gathered. But right now, in most use cases, in most cases, it's just in personal productivity. What we're going to talk about today is empowering your team to take that to the next level. So you don't just improve yourself in your own little silo, but instead, the improvements that you make are captured, and this is one of my favorite topics, in a graph, in a knowledge graph that really helps your entire organization continuously learn, adapt, and really do better at your job and have more fun. Do the things that you want to do. So we're going to see some avatars today, folks. We're going to push the envelope a bit with Zoom. Sometimes Zoom gets a bit quirky about things, but we're going to go ahead and push that envelope and show you what's going on. We have an all-star cast for you today. So if we could, let's move that next slide and talk about who is on the call. Folks, I'm very excited to have, of course, yours truly, Clara Lorenzova. She is the CEO and founder of PromethistAI. We've got Roman Kuchera on the line. We've got Dominik Novozomsky, and of course, Peter Marek. We're going to play a video from him in a little while showing you what these things are. So, just a couple quick thoughts from yours truly. This technology is amazing. It is game changing. It's happening everywhere. We encourage you to embrace this change and use creativity, use your imagination. We're going to talk about some technology, but the applications of this are virtually endless. And again, my favorite part is the knowledge graphs. Folks, knowledge graphs understand relationships. That's why you have them. And if you wonder about the power of knowledge graphs, well, think about this: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. These folks all leverage graph technology as a core component under the hood in order to tailor messages to you and to help you in your personal journey. And with that, it's time to meet Clara. Clara, I'm curious to know your thoughts on some things. We're seeing some narratives out there in the marketplace that really, I'm going to tip my hand, that kind of annoy me. Stop hiring humans, implying you should hire agents. Where do you stand on that, Clara?
Hi, Eric. Hello, everyone. Good morning to the West Coast, good afternoon to the East Coast, and good evening to Europe and Asia. I forgot about Australia, but I don't know what time is there now, so sorry for that. First of all, on behalf of the whole Promethist team, thank you, Eric, for making us a part of your great events, and we are happy to be here. And thank you to all of you around the world for choosing to spend the next hour with us. So, to your question. Look, I think there are two kinds of founders. The first group looks at the world as it is and asks, what do people need right now? And then they build for that. That's totally valid. We belong to the second group. We look at different versions of the future and ask, which one do we actually want to help create? And I believe the best future is not one where people stop working entirely, but I believe it's the one where humans create value in fundamentally different ways. Of course, AI will automate enormous amount of work, That's already happening, but I always come back to the deeper opportunity, which is much bigger than efficiency. For most of human history, people spend the majority of their energy on repetitive execution and conformity. And because of that, a lot of human capacity stayed underdeveloped from my perspective. Deep emotional intelligence, the courage to challenge assumptions, the ability to build real relationships. We all build relationships, we keep on doing, but we keep on failing. And mainly the creativity as the ability to stop merely mimicking others and begin discovering genuinely new ways of seeing, thinking, and creating value. And most AI today amplifies exactly the same logic, the old logic, helping the world do the same things, only faster. We believe in the opposite potential. AI can be the first infrastructure that systematically helps people break out of the mimetic trap, to challenge their own assumptions, to see what others overlook, to build relationships and value from a place of genuine distinction rather than conformity. So I don't see AI primarily as a replacement for people. We and I see it as the first technology in history with the potential to open an entirely new dimension of what humans can discover in themselves and create together.
Yeah, you make a couple of really, really good points there. And I have to say, you've got me thinking as well, because this really does change the game when the intelligence of your organization is everywhere. That's a big deal. So, you talk about the value shifting. Can you maybe dive in a bit deeper and make that more concrete?
Sure. The biggest change in an AI first world that is being born won't simply be that AI is everywhere, although it will be everywhere. The biggest change will be how and where value is created. Think about shoes. In 1930, people bought shoes because they needed shoes. They needed shoes. That's the most important part of the statement. Today, people buy identity, belonging, self-expression because shoes are everywhere. AI is about to compress that same transformation across every single industry, because once information strategies and then the execution, for example, drop to near zero cost, the real scarcity becomes human clarity, human courage, human trust. And your best salesperson doesn't just explain the product already now. They help the customer think, create clarity, make the customer feel genuinely understood. And in the future, the best interactions will go even further, will be helping people see possibilities they couldn't see before. And one more thing that's deeply underestimated, 4 or 5 generations now share the same workplace and the same customer relationships, each with fundamentally different expectations and definitions of trust. These relationships don't fail because of bad intentions. We all have good intentions, sorry. They fail because of a genuine gap in mutual understanding. No one has built infrastructure to bridge that systematically. That's part of what we are solving.
Yeah, so in practice, what is Empower actually?
Empower is, and what we built is a product that means multimodal digital humans, real-time AI agents with their own avatars running fully on device for high-stakes enterprise interactions, coaching, performance support, customer engagement, leadership development. What makes us different isn't mainly the avatar and the agentic itself. In the hands of Promethist, digital humans are relational interfaces that give enterprises the infrastructure to move their people from the old pure product world to a world where value is co-created with the customers, and from conformity to distinction, continuously at scale. And when that happens across companies, industries, and economies, it's not just better performance, it's entirely new layer of value that humanity has not been able to access before. It's great. The greatest gift of AI is not efficiency, it's the infrastructure to move us from mimicking to pioneering. That's my thesis. And I'm sure there'll be more companies like PromethistAI will be on that side of the future, building this type of future, thanks God. And we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to build it together with all you guys.
Yeah, wow. This is really cool stuff. Well, folks, I gotta say, it's kind of blowing my mind, but Clara makes a couple really interesting points, and you just have to wrap your head around what it means to have relational intelligence everywhere as a substrate for your organization. It captures all sorts of interesting things. And remember, these LLMs remember things about you. So they reflect back what they've seen before and they can help you. And so you can define the behavior of these avatars as well. So you can have them be very helpful, constructive. You can have them be a coach. You can even do some role playing where it seems like an angry client is giving you a hard time. But the point is, it's role playing. So you're trying to use the AI to better equip yourself to deal with real interactions. With that, let's bring in Dominik Novozomsky. Dominik, take it away.
Hey, Eric. Thank you so much for having us here. Like this is a blast. Thank you for the opportunity, and hello everyone. Thank you to everyone who's joined. I think we're gonna go through some very interesting things today. So I'm really glad that you guys joined in. But let me first do something a little bit different before I actually start talking about the product, and let me play a little bit of a teaser of what it is that we're gonna be talking about. Let me see if I can play it for you guys.
Productivity is up, but performance is not. Doing more isn't the same as doing better. Teams have more tools and more AI than ever before, but real outcomes are decided in conversations that build relationships. Introducing the world's first relational agent for real-world training.
Awesome. Let me go back to my slides right here. So what we are all about and what today's event is about is the fact that we just released something incredible. We released something we called Promethist Empower. Clara did an excellent job describing in a nutshell what it does, but let me now act as the bridge between the framing of what the business does, what the technology does, and kind of peel it together with you all as an onion so that we get to the core of the technology itself and how we believe it's transforming businesses all around the world. I'm just going to say one kind of highlight to start with because we have interesting people who are going to be presenting. First of all, Roman Kuchera, even though he is now one of the people responsible in Promethist for the product, he actually comes from the big data world. He's an expert in AI. He is an expert in big data technology. He has a passionate love for data management. And when we're going to be talking about how we actually leverage our core technology to build relationships, it goes as deep as a true understanding of users' data. And then we're going to play a short video from our head of AI in Promethist, from Peter Marek. Peter Marek is an excellent PhD conversational AI guy. He, together with his team, has won many Amazon Alexa prizes. And I really believe that bringing all those guys together for this event today can give us a much more holistic view of how to leverage AI in enterprise with a deep understanding of both enterprise and users' data and making it incredibly fun and engaging for the end users so they actually stay with it. So what it actually is, right? Like it's an AI platform. Promethist Empower is an AI platform which helps you transform both how your customer-facing teams perform as well as your internal teams, all using AI. And let's not confuse it. We are not doing what Claude does. We are not doing what ChatGPT or Copilot does. No, we don't even bring to the market a new role play scenario training solution. We are doing something else. We have taken the traditional learning and development model in enterprise, as well as in sales enablement in enterprise and training, and we have flipped it and reshaped it from the ground up with an actual personal agentic experience. We have built something at the core of our product that we call an Empower agent. It's a very important to understand this piece going onward into the rest of the slides, because then Roman and Peter are going to talk about this in great length. But it's important because it's a first ever relational agent. Relational agent is our own interpretation of what relational intelligence should be deployed in the enterprise ecosystem. And what it does is it integrates into your stack, it manages the relationship with the user, and unlike traditional agents, it builds continuity. The continuity part is critical here. The more you talk to Empower Agent, the better it gets. Now our product, it can do, like I've mentioned, roleplay. It can do all of the things that maybe even now the AI transformed world in the training and learning development field does. It can also do roleplay. It can do simulations. It can teach. It can tutor. But the Empower Agent is unique because it is an actual personal autonomous agent. Together with the continuity, the autonomous part is another very critical piece. It acts as a buddy, like if that's a right way of calling it, as a companion to the team member, if you will, and it becomes its mentor, it becomes its coach, its knowledge hub, it's a target practice. And I think the most interesting part, and Clara has already mentioned this, let me highlight it because it's a fun part, it's an interesting part, and it's also the part that makes it stick. It's a multimodal agent. So like as you are used to with all of the other agents that are in the world, even our system is agentic at its core. It can orchestrate tools, it can integrate, it can run all kinds of automations, but it also interacts with the user, of course, with natural language, which you are also used to, but it leverages voice, real-time voice, while doing all of the rest of the things in the background. And it also is being embodied through an actual, like a digital human avatar presence. Now, the digital human avatar part, it's something that we believe to the core. We have conducted and found all kinds of researches that prove that the human part of the interaction with the agent is critical for many reasons, aside of stickiness. And for us, when we deploy those solutions to the enterprise, they don't have to have the multimodal aspect to it. We believe it's important that they do. And even though you're going to see all kinds of kind of demos and interaction examples, this is pretty much tailored to the need of every single customer that we work with. So when we're going to be showing things just like user imagination, those things can be branded, they can be more abstract, they can be more humanoid. We are aware of the fact that this is a new technology, and we are not shy to go to the market and see what it actually does. Now, so that I don't only talk about this before we kind of go in more depth with Roman's part, I think it would be good to just show you like a taste of what the actual interaction with the Empower agent looks like. Right here, what I have prepared is just a short snippet. It's less than 2 minutes. This is an Empower agent, a first-time Empower agent, which was deployed by my organization to me into my HubSpot CRM, right? It doesn't really matter where you want your agents to be embedded. It should be in the flow of work. My flow of work talking to customers is in HubSpot. That's where I'm getting ready for the next call with my customer. And she was deployed by my manager for the first time to help me with an escalated situation with the customer that I'm going to talk to, and to try something different before I'm actually going to talk to the customer. So let me just play you guys a short interaction so that you get a sense of what it is when we are talking about an Empower agent. Let me see if I can make it run.
Here we see Ava, my Empower agent, which is being trained to help me prepare for this customer in the best possible way. Let me see what she has to offer.
Welcome. You're stepping into Empower's first session. We've got an Acme HubSpot incident scenario waiting in the wings. In this program, you get coached through the whole arc: preparation, live roleplay with a simulated customer, then post-simulation debrief. My goal is to help you sharpen your instinct around tough customer escalations. No easy shortcuts, no concession-first thinking. Instead, we focus on governance and shared accountability. Before we dive in, I want to get your commitment. Are you ready to explore and push your skills today? And what's on your mind as we start?
Hi, Ava. I'm absolutely ready for this. What should I do to really get myself ready for this customer? I am a little bit worried that they're going to be way too angry about what happened with their production.
I appreciate your readiness. Let's start simple. How long have you been handling healthcare customer success or incident escalations at your company? And where do you feel you'd most like to improve?
To be completely honest, I'm not a customer support guy, so it's all about getting my clients up to speed with their solutions and trying to generate more revenue than we did last year.
Got it. You're more focused on the revenue side, and this escalation arena isn't your usual territory. That's helpful. Given that, Where do you think you'd like to improve most when it comes to handling these escalations?
Ava, I'm so sorry I have to cut you off. I have to run to finish my demo. So let's chat again next time. Would you mind? See you soon. Bye.
Understood. We'll pick up right where we left off next time. Talk soon.
Perfect. So this was Ava's perspective on my preparation for my escalated customer conversation. You're gonna see later like much more about this, so don't worry. There is more coming. Now there is like just like one example of deployment of this, right? It's a kind of customer facing team where I need to get ready for a very specific situation. When I was building this, it was actually a customer success team that needed this solution. But we can do all kinds of things. If I take it like from the more basic quote unquote stuff, you can deploy this to practice objection handling, right? Like under real pressure before someone goes into an actual field. And by the way, we are doing this in production, so we know how that feels like. People can practice with roleplay agent. You're seeing this in the market, and we are just taking a different take on it. But you can go a little bit more into like more interesting aspects of it, right? Like you can speed up your product to market rollout. There is just new releases, new documentation, new materials. You are trying to push up documentation, like all hands meetings, and there is just so much better ways to do this, deploying relational agents into the field. You can onboard new people much faster, much more personalized, and with much greater depth. And as we are going to even more hardcore scenarios, and we are seeing this, right, like organizations that have thousands and thousands of managers, how do you scale the fact that they need to give all of their time teaching and tutoring, mentoring their people? They also have to bring results. This is a perfect way to scale management capabilities, either through those people or as their extension. And one of the most important and interesting things for us, especially in enabling teams that relate to the end customer in the organization, is shifting from the more old-fashioned model of selling into a much more relational, consultative way of building relationships and providing value in the market. So, but like to be completely honest, whether you think of an industry or a use case, the imagination is your limit. As you're gonna see later, these are just things that we are noticing, that we are playing with our customers, and we are seeing some interesting results. And to move from the business side now more into the tech part, and I'm going to be using this as a segue to the next session, which is going to be presented by Roman Kuchera. Here is the very simple view of our software architecture. Let's take it from the end user perspective. So we deploy our agents. Well, you deploy your agents using our studio into any channel that you can think of, whether it's mobile, you have your own distribution of mobile applications within your enterprise, you want to control it through Microsoft MDM, whatever, we support that. If you want to embed this, like you saw in my case, into your CRM, Salesforce, or whatever, you can do it. Or if you want to take it next level and perform like a more collaborative experience with your team and have like a kiosk-like application and multi-user experience where you can role play or practice with more people in the room, you can also deploy our solution like that. I'm not going to cover too much in depth the studio part because Peter is going to do an excellent job at that, which is the place where you bring a business objective or problem and you let our AI assistant to actually solve this for you. But the most interesting part in our entire architecture, and that's what we want to talk to you about mostly, so I should write this so I can give the word to Roman, is our relational intelligence engine. The way you can imagine this on a more abstract level is we have built our own proprietary model, which is responsible for two things: for orchestrating all of the enterprise integrations, systems, knowledge bases, etc., while providing a real-time value to the user, wherever they find them in wherever part of their day in their flow. But also it continuously builds a living knowledge graph. And this is the kind of meat of it, right? So when we talk relational, and some of you guys know how, for example, Neo4j works, you can imagine just establishing the most powerful connection between different nodes and assigning them a value as the agent goes and combines data from the enterprise and about the user and personalizes the entire interaction to the end user to the best of its capability. And this is the meat of it. Before I move on, I just kind of want to highlight like Eric, Clara, anyone else before I give word to Roman. Is there anything on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to mention something I forgot to say earlier that really impressed me, which is that Peter and the co-founder team of PromethistAI won the Amazon Alexa Prize competition for social bots a while back. So social chatbots are very interesting. The early days weren't so good, but this is a much more mature environment, and it is game changing. So with that, maybe we'll bring in Roman Kuchera.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Dominic. So I'm going to talk about knowledge graphs, and as a short intro, I want to say what distinguishes our agents from the rest. Dominic, can you move one more slide? Thank you. So you can see AI agents everywhere these days, of course, both the generic ones like ChatGPT, but also specific ones from many traditional companies. Like my bank has an AI assistant in its app. My online grocery store has an AI assistant that I actually use to do some shopping. A local tech store in my town has an AI assistant that helps you pick the right home appliance or whatever. And most of these assistants, they can answer specific questions very well. And quite a few of them also pretend that they can provide good advice, that they can help you make better decisions and improve and so on. But they really do lack the context to do so well. And in real life, if you get advice from someone who barely knows you and your situation, chances are that advice may be completely wrong. Just today, actually, I opened my banking app and it showed me a notification with a red exclamation mark saying something like, I'm not saving enough and that I should use one of their investment products or whatever. And it has recommended to me based on my profile. And the bank has some solid data about me, but they don't really know everything. They don't know that I have, that I'm using another broker, that I have my financial advisor somewhere else, and so on. Is that investment recommendation really any good? Probably not. And if I'm getting recommendations that are not tailored to my needs, I'm not trusting them a lot, and eventually actually don't open them at all. So to prevent this, you really need to understand the user much better. And for that reason, we built the knowledge graph. And to build this trust that is needed to form the long-term relationship, we need all the context we can get. We need to know the user and the world they operate in. There are many different types of information that are part of this knowledge graph. I will focus on four main areas in this presentation. The first one is facts about the users and maybe other entities they interact with, something that's gathered from the conversation, from the individual sessions with the agent and so on. The second part is information about the organization itself and the broader context of it, the products it offers, the processes it uses, and so on. And the third one, it gets more interesting. It's some kind of subtext, something that we can actually extract and learn from all this data that's already in the knowledge graph, but wasn't explicitly stated in any single line of the conversation. And then there is the live context, something that we can pull through other tools from that you allow us to connect to, let's say from calendar, email, CRM, and so on. These parts of the knowledge graph, they don't have to be dedicated to one particular agent. You might actually have multiple agents that connect or that share some parts of this knowledge graph, because your team might need, different, or you might need different agents, different types of empowerment for different teams, or even for a single user. Maybe you will have one agent that goes through some compulsory kind of training, but another one that's helping with some day-to-day coaching or something. So the knowledge is shareable. Now I'll be showing a couple of examples of how this knowledge graph works and how it's built. And this is rather difficult to demonstrate the concept well in a live application. So I'll be starting with basically just slides and a couple of helpful illustrations. There will be a detailed demo from Peter later on. The main source of facts in the knowledge is coming from the conversations you have with the agent itself. Whatever is discussed, the Empower agent analyzes and finds the relevant facts and stores them. In this example, we see the very first introduction of the agent. So we have the Empower agent called Buon, and he talks to our end user, which is Alicia. And from this first interaction, it learns a couple of facts. It learns that Alicia has been with North Star Wealth Management for 6 years. She's working there as a senior wealth advisor, and she's primarily focused on founder-led part of the portfolio. Then, as we move on, the graph starts to populate fairly quickly as the conversations continue. Where it gets interesting is when Alicia starts to discuss a specific customer. Here she's saying that she's meeting a new client, Sebastian, and she's asking Bon if we know anything about him. And some of this data might already be in the knowledge graph. Maybe Sebastian was a client, was with some other manager in the company before. Maybe we already know something about him. But some parts of the knowledge graph, they might be distributed. And so Buon can actually connect to CRM, see if Sebastian was a customer before, if we know anything about him. If not, he might look him up, for example, on LinkedIn, and will come up with these additional details. So now we know that Sebastian is a tech entrepreneur from Berlin. He's 26 years old. He drives Tesla. Prefers afternoon meetings. And from Alicia's reaction, we also see that Alicia is a bit hesitant about this particular demographics. Like the young, successful tech entrepreneurs. Maybe she doesn't exactly know how to talk to them. So Bond notes it down. It will be important later as well. I already mentioned another important piece is actually the business context. So this is typically the first thing we do before we actually deploy the Empower agent to the end users. We set up some context for it. So we maybe upload some documents. Here in this example, we have a product sheet, we have some regulatory document, and we have some standard operating procedures. So basically the things that you would need to really understand the job that is required from Alicia. This is critical because it usually this context typically slightly differs from the generic world knowledge that is built into large language models by default. This grounding helps the Empower agent to provide guidance that is consistent with the world Alicia lives in, to not recommend products from competitors or to not recommend something that contradicts the operating procedures that are required from Alicia to comply with. This is stored in the same knowledge graph, and it can interact with other nodes as well. Now comes the interesting part. Until now, the information was mostly factual, but the magic really happens between the lines, outside individual user-advisor conversation, or in between different parts of the knowledge graph. We basically gave the agent the option to automatically extract these hidden meanings, hidden insights from the full context. Be it a conversation between the end user and the Empower agent, like we've seen Alicia and Buon, or be it a transcript of a real conversation between the customer and the end user in this case. And of course, this needs to be allowed, there needs to be consent and so on. But quite often this is possible and it can be quite helpful. So in this particular slide, we see actually the transcript that Bon is currently processing the transcript of such conversation between Alicia and Sebastian. We can see Alicia started by pitching some default basic managed fund. and that Sebastian is not super happy about it, saying that he doesn't trust big banks that much. He wants to know what he's investing in, and so on. And then Alicia doesn't really want to hear it. She kind of tries to stick with explaining how the default fund is good. And Sebastian is saying that risk is not his concern, but alignment is. And from this conversation, the Buon can actually, our Empower agent can actually extract different things. It can extract things like worldviews and biases and so on. In this case, it extracted a bias for Alicia. She defaults to the save option, even though that she already has evidence that it will probably not work. She doesn't realize it on the spot, and she keeps going with the default option. For Sebastian, we learned that he might have, some kind of ESG alignment because he's mentioning that he doesn't want to back fossil fuels and so on. We see that he's anti-institutional, and he has probably high tolerance for risk. This information is critical for providing the proper coaching and mentoring to Alicia later on. Now, with all this information collected, we can start producing the meaningful recommendations. These can be both soft in nature, like how to communicate with specific customers better, or they can be factual. In this case, we see that Buon actually has access to Alicia's calendar and sees that there is a meeting with Sebastian scheduled. And he's providing with a note that, to remind her that she usually pitches the safest managed funds to her clients. But we already know that Sebastian is not very good target for such an offer. And Buon suggests a different strategy. It suggests a different product and different approach. And it doesn't end with just the suggestions. Alicia can continue with Buon. She can either discuss the strategy and the approach, how to talk to Sebastian, or she can practice the pitch. And Buon can prepare like a role play where there will be another agent that we will basically spin up on the spot that will simulate Sebastian with all we know about him. And Alicia can practice the pitch before the actual meeting happens. So thanks to the knowledge graph and these kind of recommendations, we can provide much better coaching and mentoring experience from our Empower agents to make it more relevant and in the end more trustworthy for the end user. This helps us build better relationship between us and our users, but it also helps our users build better relationships with their customers. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Dominic.
Yeah, and real quick, I'm going to chime in just for a second here. When you can benefit from the relational intelligence of everyone in your team, that's really helpful because a lot of times folks won't know a particular client. I mean, think about all the data that's stored in your CRM, for example. How many people ever actually read that data? Think about the data in your Salesforce. Like so much of that information never gets popular or never gets consumed by an end user. But when you have this layer, this relational intelligence engine that's capturing all these interactions, the wisdom of the crowd comes to you in the moment and helps you make those decisions, right, Roman?
Yeah, exactly. And even if sometimes information is consumed, I would say most of the cases it's not consumed in the right time, right? Like the call ends, you go to Salesforce to write some notes, and then you realize, oh, I should have approached it differently, but that's too late.
Right. That's right. All right,
That's
Roman,
one.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Dominic.
sorry to jump in, but that's one perspective. That's the digital presence of that information. But second, and we are seeing this across the board, a lot of the information is also in people's heads, right? Like you have experienced sales team, you have just the most excellent architects in your customer success team, and they just don't have the time to pass this knowledge on, right? Like you also want to collect that from their interactions with their agents and then be able to distribute that knowledge onward.
Yep, that's right. Folks, if you have any questions, don't be shy. Send them in through the Q&A, and we'll get to them at the end of the show.
Awesome. I'm just gonna move on, and Eric, if anything is on your mind, just kind of jump in. So the next part is very important. Like when I join these kind of webinars, I just love the inspirational content of it. But very often it's difficult to see the actual tool that would help me set something up like this. But like we were already saying before, like we are actually on there and doing this with our enterprise customers. And everything that you were seeing up till now, it didn't take weeks, months, or years to set up. We have built an actual studio. It's a place where Peter is going to be walking us through it, where you don't come to use your hands and craft a solution and just kind of do the heavy lifting work. No, we are flipping the entire idea of what it means to manage an agentic workforce, and we are changing it to a much more, I would say, outcome-driven management, right? Like you come with an actual idea or a problem you want to solve, or business objective that you want to target, and you want the tool to help you set it up. And that's exactly what we are doing with our studio. If you remember the architectural piece that was the left top part of the architecture. And here we have prepared just a very short 6 minutes video to do this. Just a disclaimer, the reason why we recorded this is because a lot of the interactions are interactional with the agent, and you can stream the bi-directional voice through the Zoom stream. So it's just going to be more comfortable to share it like that. Let me just see if I can pull up the short demonstration of Studio performed by our head of AI, Peter. Awesome, play now.
Your company probably already runs leadership training, human coaches, workshops, maybe a learning management system. And it works for the people who get access to it. But what about everyone else? Today, I will show you how to empower your entire team with the same quality of development using AI. Roleplay agents, a personal empower coach, real-time feedback, and analytics, built in minutes from the materials you already have. Here is what you may already have. Leadership and Communication Essentials program. Some modules define competencies, learning objectives. Good work, but it's been sitting just in the PDF. Let's use it to build an Empower package. I will drag and drop this file into an AI assistant and give it the instruction. Build me an Empower package that will help my team develop their leadership and communication skills based on the document I uploaded. The assistant doesn't just read the document, it analyzes it. It identifies the key competency areas, figures out which scenarios to build, what kind of Empower coach is needed. It has access to all the domain knowledge, tools, and integration it needs. This is the part that used to take weeks. We are doing it in minutes. Look at what it built. A complete Empower package. Roleplay agents, each one targeting a specific scenario from the program. Anxious team member, skeptical stakeholder, or direct report with performance issues. And on top of that, an Empower agent that ties the whole journey together. Each agent knows the context, knows the competency framework, and is ready to have a real conversation. This is what it means to empower people at scale. But before we run a session, I want to make sure people get real feedback. So I will ask the assistant to create an evaluation. Create me an evaluation in 4 metrics: communication clarity, active listening, handling resistance, and empathy. The evaluation gives feedback to both the person practicing and to the manager. Include also tips how to improve. And it's done, automatically wired to every agent in the Empower package. Let's run a session. I will pick one of the Empower scenarios, a difficult update conversation.
Hi, this is Aaron from Acme Corp. Let's jump right in. What's the headline of our update?
Hello, Aaron, how are you?
Let's focus on the update. That's the one-line summary of what you're bringing to the table today.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I wanted to update you about the AI adoption. It is now 80%.
All right, 80% adoption. So what? Why does that matter right now?
Well, I see. So our projections show that it will be something about 75%. So we picked it as a target, and now we are 5% above.
What's driving that 5% difference? And more importantly, what's the implication? Are we ahead of schedule, or is something off?
Well, I'm not sure about what it is driving, but we are ahead of our plans by 5%. Isn't it amazing?
Hold on. I'm not here for amazing. I need clarity. What's the root cause behind that extra 5%? And what's the decision you're asking for?
Okay, so I would like to end the session and get to the Empower agent, please.
Switching you over now. You're all set to continue with the Empower agent.
The evaluation is generated automatically by AI with all the key metrics we defined, with specific examples pulled directly from the conversation. No self-reporting, no guesswork. That's the Empower feedback loop in action. Now, the Empower coach will step in. It won't just report the score, it will have a conversation with me about what it means and what to work on the next.
Let's jump into the debrief of your last role play. You shared a key data point, but the structure and clarity of your update need focus. That's our MO1 skill today, communication clarity. Now, I'd like to hear your self-assessment. How clear and structured do you feel your delivery was on a scale of 1 to 5?
So I think I was something about 4. I think that I provided a good summary, but maybe it wasn't as clear as possible. So can you give me some tips? How can I improve for the next time?
Thanks for sharing your self-assessment. Let's break it down. You had a strong starting point with the data summary. Now, the key layer to add is a clear implication. What does that number mean for the audience? And a simple ask. Let's work on weaving both in for next time.
Can you give me some tip? How could I have formulated it?
Sure. You could say, the key point is we're at 80% adoption. This matters because it's 5% above target, so we're ahead. My ask, should we adjust our target or explore the drivers? That combo makes it clear and actionable.
Okay, thank you. I will try it next time. Goodbye.
You've got it. Keep sharpening that clarity. Talk to you next time.
This is what the Empower experience looks like. Not a one-off workshop, but a continuous development loop that grows with you. Now let's look at what managers and administrators see in Empower Analytics Suite. Who is practicing, who is improving, and where the gaps are across the whole organization. Every session, every score, every trend, out of the box. And the data doesn't have to stay here. It's fully accessible to any external system, your HR platform, your reporting tools, wherever you already use. And for teams that want to go deeper, the evaluation framework inside the Empower package is fully customizable. Okay, let's recap. We built a complete Empower package from a document that was already sitting on a shelf. And what that unlocks is significant. Every employee gets access to practice, not just the lucky few. Feedback is instant, specific, and actionable. The Empower Coach turns every session into a step in a longer development journey, and the Analytics Suite gives leadership the real visibility into team readiness instantly for the first time. That and more is the Empower package. I was Peter. Ahoy.
Awesome. So that's just to give you an insight into what it really takes to build something like this from a ground up. Before I give the word to Eric, because I know that we have covered so many topics in different kinds of depths, what's important to keep in mind when you're looking at, well, to be completely honest, any AI tool, but specifically what we have built right here, you have to keep in mind that it is your imagination is the specific problem that you are trying to tackle and making something that will really suit your needs, right? We have actually done things such as we have briefly talked about it. You want to build an agent that collects knowledge from your top employees and passes it on. You want to make an enormous education wave with the new product release, and you want your entire customer-facing team to be aligned on the same message, and you want to be doing this dynamically. You want to just simply upskill your people for a new skill, for a new domain expertise, for anything. The studio is built from a pre-built library of knowledge assets, skills, domain-specific knowledge bases, and much more. But it's also what you bring to the table that makes an incredible solution. So I'm just going to wrap the whole product demo piece here. Eric, is there anything on your mind that you would like to add to it?
Well, we have a couple of great questions from attendees. So if you guys are ready for that, I'll throw those out to you.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Before, sorry, or Eric,
sorry.
if I may just very
Go ahead.
quickly, Dominic, could you please explain a little bit more about the avatars and the technologies behind the avatars and the fact that there are a couple of optional approaches so that our audience understands that
Absolutely.
they can get different qualities of avatars, but there are some pros and cons, mainly.
Absolutely.
Price.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just describe the multimodal aspect of it. So number one, if we didn't show it, but if you're going to throw German language, if you're gonna try to speak Spanish, all those agents are tailored to your specific language. So it doesn't really matter if you speak any major language in the world, it's going to reply to you as such. We support variety of different voice providers. And the same goes for our visual aspect of it. So we've been in the market for like quite a few years now. So we have experimented with 3D technologies. We have experimented with generative AI technologies. And all of those techs have their own pros and cons, right? We know that you want to have a multimodal experience, and we know we want to personalize it to your users. What is important to keep on mind is that when you are rolling out a solution like this to 3,000 employees and more, which is what we are doing, and we come from a world where we were planning to roll out some specific customer case scenario to hundreds of thousands of people, you don't want to pick a tech which is going to ruin you cost-wise, right? Like if you're going to stream some high-quality Unreal video, that thing is going to ruin you. So we have developed our own proprietary tech which can do everything to the bare bone of costs while giving the users the maximum amount of utility, which is, by the way, what you now saw, that we can keep this offering competitive and useful. That's when you want to run something like very, very low cost. If you want to bring something more experiential, if you want to bring your unique take on the way it should be embodied in the space, you simply request it and we build something. We pick a technology. It can be a digital twin of your manager. It can be anything else. And we pick the right technology that will suit your use case and your budget.
Great, thank you.
Okay, good. And a couple great questions, folks. Thanks for these questions. And they were on my mind too. So a couple questions are asking really about the data side and how you get access to data. And is it real time, or do you have to manually load documents into the environment, which is what one of the demos showed? So I guess either Roman or Dominic, can you talk about connections to CRM systems? Can they be live? What about external data like media articles, LinkedIn, et cetera? Tell us about how the data gets into this relational engine.
Absolutely. So I will take this one, Dominic. So this is all configurable, right? So it absolutely can be live for real best user experience. It should be live. In large enterprise organization, that might take a while to set it up and to get all the approvals and so on. So what's most common is that we start with a pilot, and it can be fairly large pilot, like it can be a couple hundred users actually using it like live for production use cases. But we start with like a very simple setup where we upload the basic documents, as I mentioned, the documents about the standard operating procedures and so on, so a bunch of PDFs or whatnot. And we basically set up some, let's say, predefined role plays and kind of training scenarios, and we let the users use it. If they want to discuss specifics, it doesn't have the live connection, they have to talk it through with the agent. So it limits the user experience, but this is something that you typically can start even in the large organization very quickly. And then eventually we'll set up these live integrations for whatever CRM. We'll connect to Salesforce, we'll connect to LinkedIn to collect data. That's probably the easier part. The difficult part might be the emails and calendars and so on. There is a lot of hoops to jump through to get those approved and convince everyone that it is secure and it is helpful and so on. So yeah.
Okay, there's another. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, just to add to it, the difficult part comes from, because we've been working in this enterprise world for years now, the architecture supports the traditional MCP model or a webhook integration. So if you can bring, let's say you are not in an enterprise, let's say you are a small company and you just want to connect all of the live systems into the agent, he pulls it in real time during the conversation before or after. So the product itself supports it. It's just the kind of wisdom of the experience in enterprise world and being more patient about it.
And even though we try to make these integrations, as simple as possible, there is often things to, things to decide based on the context. Like we had this telco customer, for example, the profile of the end user of the customer that we were supposed to pull, it was available online, but it took a couple of seconds to load, which makes it impractical for like the MCP type of integration where the agent would on the fly pull the data, wait for a couple of seconds, and then start explaining. So we had to do some, like preload. Like at the beginning, we knew who the call is about. So we would preload it, keep it in cache, and so on. So these decisions, they depend on the actual architecture of the problem and of the organization we're working with.
Yeah, we have another really good question from a AI savvy, let's say, attendee who asks, "Do you sell this information?" And of course, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, no, any information of a particular client stays with that client, is secured with that client, and does not leave to go to any other organization. Is that right?
That is correct. Actually, we don't use the data for training of any models. The data, as you said, it remains it's basically owned by the customer. The agent only has access to the data that is relevant to the user talking to that agent at that point in time, so it doesn't cross the boundary like uh, whatever my colleague talked to the agent, said something sensitive, I will not find out when I ask the agent, and so on. There are strict boundaries. We are getting regular security audits. Obviously, like security with AI is a new topic, so it's evolving every day, and we are investing in it quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah, and then another question that fascinated me, in the graph, in the knowledge graph, every person, every employee is its own node, if I understand that correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong. And then also other customers, clients, people who come into the world, they have their own nodes as well. So the cool thing is that over time, your organization learns about interactions with big clients, with small clients, with partners, with vendors, with whomever. All that gets captured in the graph such that you have this totality of information about any given individual at any given time. Is that right?
That is correct, with the limitation of, let's say, the permissions again. Like
Hmm.
some of the data, like when I talk to the agent, the data that I tell it, it might be sensitive in nature. So some parts of the knowledge graph, they are really shared, and they can be used, but some of them they are not. So it's a mix.
And those
Right.
parts that cannot be used, we can ensure the data anonymization. So if some of the team members have to view the data, the system out of the box support data anonymization pipeline in all the common languages that we serve, and you just simply won't get access to the sensitive data.
Hmm. Okay,
And
good. We just got about, go ahead. Is that Clara? Go ahead.
yeah, and let me end at one more on that. When we talk about the entities that are members or parts of the relationship and that are monitored or could be monitored, one of them is also the company, the enterprise itself, and it's a very important entity as such, because all companies want to become love brands. How are you becoming a love brand? You're becoming a love brand by being able to get into the hearts of your people internally and of your customers. And how can you become a love brand if you don't understand how the people perceive you, what they think about you? We all create mental models about everything and everybody, and we create mental models about the companies that we work for and about the companies that we are whose products we're buying. And you want to understand what the mental model of your people and of your customers about you look like, how they understand your intentions. You want to manage and kind of coordinate and influence how they understand your intentions about the world, about the AI, about themselves. So I think it's very important to understand that the maybe the crucial entity, in fact, in the game. Is the company itself.
Yeah, and I'll just throw out one last comment, and then Dominic, if you want to comment on this. The thing too is you can create agents for any kind of role. So let's say you're in a highly regulated environment, you can create the auditor agent who behaves like an auditor and will ask the hard questions, and that's the role-playing side of the equation, right, Dominic?
Guys, we have so much fun building those agents. Like we have played with so many industries and so many use cases. And the most fun part, actually, when we, for example, do this in bank, we build a role play agent. Well, the AI assistant builds a role play agent, which we cannot beat. But then we sit with those senior bankers on the retail branch, and they are done in 2 minutes. They made an upsell, and they are like, "Okay, what's next?"
Wow. That's amazing stuff. Well, look these folks up online. PromethistAI is the company. Empower is the technology. We do archive all these webinars for later viewing, so you can hop online and check it out. Share it with your colleagues. This is the transformation, folks. The AI transformation is here already. It's just not evenly distributed yet. And with that, we'll bid you farewell. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thanks to the team at Promethist. We'll talk to you next time, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Eric.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.